Assalamu Alaikum everyone, welcome back to another video. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Apologies to anybody who has asked me to look at certain individual stocks in the last few months and I haven't had the chance to do that yet. I've got a long list of companies that I need to go over. Work's been absolutely killing me in the last couple of weeks, but inshallah I'll get back to you guys on these individual stocks. One of the stocks that you guys have been asking me, I will be looking at today in today's video. But before we get to that, there are a couple of things I want to talk about, and the first thing I want to talk about is the earnings report. So inshallah tomorrow I'm going to record a video going over some of the companies that I own and some of the companies that I'm on my watch list that have reported the earnings. So I'm going to go over individual companies and how they actually, what they reported and what happened to the company afterwards. So companies like 3M, J&J's reported, Procter & Gamble's reported, and so on. So there's a lot of companies that I own or I would like to own in the future that have reported. And next week we'll also talk about what's going to happen next week, because next week a lot of the big boys are reporting, so anything can happen. So I will talk about that in tomorrow's video. But one company I want to talk about today is Visa. Visa was down at some point in the last basically 24 hours, whatever. It was down almost to 3%, but it has now bounced back a little bit. So I want to talk about what's going on with Visa, because they've reported the earnings has actually gone down. So does that mean the company is actually sell, or should we all sell it, or what should we do? But before I do all of that, I would love you to join us in the Patreon account where you get access to all of these things, as well as the Discord. And of course, if you can like the video, that will make a massive difference to me. Now, Visa's reported, so they beat both top line, okay, at the revenue side of things, and of course the earnings as well. So earnings per share was amazing. The net revenue was up about 9%. Okay, net revenue increase of 9% for the quarter. In terms of the payment volume for the 3 months, was basically increase of 8% over the basically prior year, which is absolutely amazing. This part was up 16%. The total, and then what else? On the January, so the board of directors declared also basically they paying that dividend. They haven't increased it because I think they've done it recently, so they don't need to increase that. So by looking at this, there's literally no issues. Okay. From top line to bottom line and quarter to quarter, a lot of the things have actually gone up. Now, this is the payment volume is where the issue is. Now, it talks about here the fact that, you know, in terms of the Visa sees 8% boost on payment volume during the latest quarter, which is basically what we've seen here, that 8% there, right? So when you see the highlights, absolutely fine. But the issue is then the volume into basically January basically has declined a little bit, and that's the reason why it's down. Let me show you how much that's down, and literally let me show you why you should never even listen to Wall Street people, because these analysts sometimes I don't know what to call them, but they just not paying attention to the company. Right, look at this, right? The total payment volume of $3.28 trillion, right? Missing the consensus of 3.29 trillion. Look, this is what the company reported. This is what they were expecting. But it's still an increase from this time last year, 3.2 from the fourth quarter. Okay, 3.20, 3.29 and 3.28. That's the difference. And that for that reason, the stock was down about 3%. And this is why you should never ever listen to Wall Street in a way, because these guys have, you know, they get paid to do these things, and I don't know what they're gaining from it. So that's the reason basically the stock is down. There's no other reason why this stock should be down today. Top line is absolutely fine. Things are absolutely fine until quarter to quarter. Everything is increasing. So that just, you know, 3.28, 3.29, that's the difference between basically why the company is down and why it should be up at least 4% today. Because if you look at it around, and again, for us, maybe it's a good opportunity. Maybe if you were interested in US, again, the company is still fairly valued. So if we go back here and show you what this Visa, so you can see it's 3 stars, okay, and the price target is still $260 per share. So 264 is where it is right now. So it's still fairly valued. So nothing to worry about in terms of that side of things. Right, let's talk about the company that you guys asked me to look at. That's Genuine Parts Company. This company basically sells a lot of products and automated replacement parts, or spare parts, whatever you want to call it, for hybrid electric vehicles, trucks, SUVs, buses, motorcycles, recreational vehicles, farm vehicles, all sorts of things. Okay, now the company is down 14% for the 1 year. Okay, and for that reason, we will need to look at, see where the company is heading. Now, it has 20 billion market cap. Dividend is safe, 2.66% right now. In terms of payout ratio, only 42%. Dividend is basically increase. Latest increase was 6.1, 6% in the last 5 years, 6% in the last 20 years. Not a lot, but it has been increasing that dividend, right? Now, look at this, 66 years of paying that dividend. So they are dividend king, dividend aristocrat, whatever you want to call it. Aristocrats have increased their dividend 25 plus years. Kings have increased 50 plus years. And annually, you get $3.80 for every share of this company that you own. Now, according to the dividend theory model, you can see here the 5-year average is 2.75. Right now, it's 2.66. Okay, and the forward PE basically 18, and right now we're looking at a 14. So in terms of that, it seems a little bit cheap or reasonably valued. Okay, free cash flow payout ratio of 55%. We're looking for normally around 60%. So it has a little bit decline on that one. Earnings per share is heading the right direction, which is good. Free cash flow per share, it hasn't been great, but it's very choppy, going up and down kind of thing. But you can see right now it's almost $7 there. In terms of shares outstanding, they have been buying back their own shares, and sales has been increasing. So in terms of their sales, you can see 14.1 to right now $23 billion, which is quite amazing. Return on equity 32%, return on invested capital of 19%, which is absolutely amazing. Normally we're looking at about 10% or 8%. Operating margins of 7%. 12 is basically good for this type of business, but right now it's 7. And free cash flow margin of 4% right now. Again, it's almost there where what we're looking for, about 5%. And net debt to EBITDA right now is 1.37. Normally we're looking for anything below 3, which is absolutely fine. And same goes for net debt to capital, which is basically looking for 0.4. Right now 0.46. That's where it is. Now going back to Seeking Alpha, a couple of more things. So the earnings side of things, estimate moving forward for this company, you can see 11% basically expected in 2023. So when they report their quarter, they're expecting 11% growth, then about 7%, 9%, 8%. So it's decent, 7-8%. This is very old company, so to report that 7-8%, which is quite nice. And in terms of total and revenue side of it, you can see almost a 5% or 4% every single year moving forward from now till 2025. Now, according to Morningstar, Yahoo Finance, as you can see, next year they're expecting about almost 7%, and then after that, almost 9% every year per annum. So they're expecting the earnings to grow about 9% every single year. As you can see right now, $154 per share, where they think the price should be. Right now is 143. As you can see here, there's not that many strong buys, but there are a couple of buys. There's about, I think, about 3 out strong buys, and the rest of them are just buys right now. So in that middle point right now, so it's heading towards a buy according to them. Now going back to Seeking Alpha, if we look at the ratings, for example, and look at what Wall Street is actually saying, $156 per share is where they think the price should be. As you can see, is about 10% upside from where we are. And according to Morningstar, as you can see, is 4 stars right now. The company, they're 14% discounted right now. Their fair value is $161 per share. 137 is where it is now. It has a narrow economic moat. And when we look at the trailing returns, okay, to kind of have an idea of where the company has been in the last 10 years, basically we're looking at about almost an 8% growth in terms of total revenue. And comparing to the S&P 500, as you can see here, when we look at the last 3 years, you can see it's 51% total returns in the last 3 years, and the S&P 526. So it's done actually better. It has beaten the market in the last 3 years. When we look at the last 5 years, 70%, 85%. And when we look at the last 10 years, 129%, 174%. So the S&P 500 is actually beating it. But when you look at this, there's not much of a really difference between the two. So again, it's a decent company. It has a good dividend yield. Okay, they're buying back their own shares. They have a very predictable, understandable, easy to understand kind of business. And as you can see here, when it comes to seeking alpha, basically they're all saying it's a buy, including Quant is actually saying it is a buy right now. So that's the company I want to share with you guys. So you guys have asked me to look at this company, so there you have it. That's the company that I wanted to talk about today. What I will do, inshallah, is to basically do similar videos for the rest of the companies that you guys have asked me. If you have any more, just put it on the comment section for this one, and then I'll basically put that together, inshallah, and I'll do a video each day moving forward from now on, inshallah. Work's been a bit crazy and family and everything else, but inshallah I'll do my best to kind of keep up with everything else that's going on with the channel, inshallah. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing for me, as well as, of course, you know, inshallah, if you can make dua for me and my family, that will be absolutely wonderful. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu Alaikum.